This is a 1998 Nissan Stagea, a Japanese station wagon that was pretty cool for its time. The Stagea was built to take on the Subaru legacy, but this Stagea is a little bit different. This is an Autech 260RS, and this is quite frankly the coolest, most badass Japanese station wagon you will ever see, period. And today, I'm going to show you why. That's right, guys. Today we're standing here next to a 1998 Nissan Stagea 260RS. And this has got to be one of the coolest cars ever to come out of Japan in the late 90s. So this 260RS actually started its life out as a Nissan Stagea RS4S. I've actually reviewed an RS4S previously on the channel, so if you'd like to see that video, I'll link it in the description below. So what makes a 260RS so much more special? Well, a company called Autech took around 1,700 of these from Nissan and completely stripped them out and modified them with R33 GTR parts. So this car has an R33 GTR engine, it has an R33 GTR drivetrain, and it has an R33 GTR gearbox. This car is basically an R33 GTR wagon, and it's so cool. So I'm going to take you around right now quickly, and let's just see some of the different features of this car. Just want to bring your attention under the bonnet here first with this car's biggest quirk, that being that this has the RB26 DETT, the twin turbo GODZILLA, straight out of an R33 GTR. And this has got to be one of the coolest things you'll ever see in a station wagon, period. This is sort of why I've always loved 90s Japanese cars, is because they do crazy shit like this all the time. You'll never see this again, ever, I can guarantee you that. But it's just amazing, nevertheless, that this actually happened, and I'm so grateful for that. Funny enough, though, this engine was not actually rated all that highly back then because of a Japanese gentleman's agreement that all the auto manufacturers had with each other. So they wouldn't advertise their engines making anything more than 276 horsepower. So this actually, when it came out, was rated like the GTR at 276 horsepower. But like the GTR, everyone claims that this was roughly more like around 310. Now 0 to 60 times for the 260RS, bit of a tricky one. There's not much info, but from what I've gathered over the forums and doing some research, it should be around 5.1 seconds, which is pretty good considering this car is a lot heavier than a GTR, weighing in around 1,700 kilos. Okay guys, I just want to bring your attention to the Vin Plate here first off before we go around. If you actually look, it says RB26 DET. Now, this clearly has an RB26, and the funny thing is, like I said, this car started its life out as an RS4S, which had an RB25 engine. So when Autech actually replaced and modified everything, they didn't bother putting in a new Vin plate, which, I think in Japan, they're very much more lenient, and it wasn't such a big deal. But when you try to import one of these cars and get it registered here, that is going to give you a huge headache. Having a look at the whole car from the exterior, it's a very handsome wagon in my personal opinion. I absolutely love the way this looks. Now, this is a Series 1. They actually had a Series 2 as well of this car. And basically the major differences was up the front. It sort of had an extra kind of couple of headlights in the grille area here, where the original Series 1 sort of had these just traditional headlights. Now, another thing right here at the front that distinguishes this as an Autech is you have this huge front lip, and the front end actually looks very nice. It's got a full body kit from Autech. Has an Autech badge right here in the grill. And it looks very nice. I gotta say, for a wagon, this thing looks very cool. Now, another thing that Autech did was they gave these cars 17-inch BBS wheels from factory, from Autech. And of course, you've got the double unicorn right in the middle. That's the Stagea logo. And we have Brembos as well. So Brembos were fitted in this car. We have huge side skirts that are unique to the 260RS again. You come back to the rear here and you have this amazing Autech unique again spoiler, which just looks very cool, very 90s. And again, you've got your Stagea badge here. You've got your Nissan badge here. And then again, you had a 260RS sticker that was placed there. And the whole car, I think from the rear as well, looks very cool. It's a very unique design, this wagon, and very Japanese in my opinion. All right, so we're inside the 260RS now, guys, and this is just really a basic interior. It's really similar to that RS4S I reviewed, and there's really not a lot of differences I can pick out. You know, the seats are sort of that same basic seat. It's not really sporty at all, but they're comfortable enough. Biggest difference I can feel is just the gearbox is really nice. Obviously, I would expect it to be a lot better as this is a GTR gearbox. And again, you just got, your boost gauge in here, your oil temperature, and your front torque gauge, because again, this is a four-wheel drive car. And in the gauge cluster, very basic again. You still got a basic steering wheel here, guys, and it's very basic in here, guys, and there's really not a lot to talk about. So I'll just jump in the back seats now, guys, and I'll show you what's back there. All right, so we're in the back seats now, guys, and straight away there's just a little bit less room than I would have hoped for, because this is a wagon, obviously. But one nice thing you can do is you can pull a little lever back here, and you can actually recline these seats back to give you a lot more of a comfortable ride and really give you some more space back here, which is nice. And, I do just have enough leg room here. That's in a normal seating position. You've got some map pockets back here. You have an outlet here that gives you just two standard outlets. You got a Japanese household plug and another 12-volt plug there. And again, it's just very basic back here. You've got an armrest that comes down. Again, nothing about it interesting, just very basic. And that's basically the back seats, guys. There's really not a lot going on back here, but they're just comfortable, nice, and usable. All right, so driving the 1998 Nissan Stagea 260RS. This thing is really impressive for a wagon, guys, and it just really blows my mind that you got all these GTR internals in this car. It's truly an awesome car, and I'm really honored to have it on the channel today, guys. Really am. All right, so just straight away some differences from the RS4S. It feels fairly similar, guys, I'm not gonna lie. Biggest thing I can tell straight away that I feel a difference in is the gearbox. I think the gearbox in this feels a lot nicer, a bit more crisp, and the throws just feel like they have a little bit more precision to them. So I think why I feel like the RS4S was a little bit more lively was probably because it was modified slightly. It had coilovers on it. But I think the major difference is, guys, is that this weighs more. This is like 1,700 kilos. It's not very light. And, that's where you can really feel that this car probably gets bogged down a bit. But in saying that, the RB26, only had a claimed 276 horsepower. So, even in the GTR Skyline stock standard, they weren't always that fast. But when you start modifying this car, it will love you. And these engines can take some serious horsepower. We all know that. And, this is a perfectly stock example, beautiful example. And I'm really glad that I got to experience this stock, because this is how it came from, this is how you would have purchased it. And it's just nice to know that feeling of, a car that would have come out of the box like this. The steering has got a pretty nice weight to it, guys. Like, it really does feel very nice to steer. and it's dead straight as well. You know, this car is, you know, 20-year-old car, and this thing is dead straight. It really steers very nice, and the handling is actually pretty good. You know, like I said, you've got that four-wheel steering at the back, so this car will get around a corner very nicely, but it is got some weight to it. You got to finesse it a little bit, but very impressive nonetheless, especially for a 20-year-old car. Oh man, it actually drives extremely well. Holy shit. For a wagon, man, this is unreal. That I can really notice that four-wheel steering right now. Holy crap, man. The back end just really feels like it's just completely going with me. Wow. And you've got the slightest amount of body roll. Really handles itself quite nicely. And holy, this is impressive, guys. Like, especially once you get over $4 grand, $4.5 grand, the turbos really reward you. Wow. Jesus. I didn't even get to the end there, boys. Like that. I didn't even get to the end there, guys. That was like, you know, this thing revs out to 8,000. And man, oh man, when you start getting up on the RPM, this thing actually does really reward you, and it actually really does move. On the back roads is really where you notice this thing have a lot more speed. When you're on the highway, yeah, you know, you probably don't really notice all that much the speed, but man, in the back roads, this is where this car is right at home. You know, obviously it's not going to perform as good as a GTR because of this weight, but man, for a sport wagon, this thing rocks. Oh, you can hear those turbos spool up right around 4.5 grand. Jeez, man. Those Brembos really, they do a good job slowing you down. And wow, like this thing actually does pick up and move, especially when you start getting close to red light. You realize very quickly that you're going a lot faster than you're anticipating. This car likes to drink the fuel though. I'm not sure what the MPG is actually of this, but just in this short time I've driven it, I think I've drained about a quarter of a tank. And I haven't driven all that much, to be honest. But who cares when you're having fun like this, eh? Alright guys, I'm going to end the video off here. This 260RS is actually listed for sale right now, guys, so if you're interested, I'll leave the link in the description below, so check it out if you're interested, guys. And yeah, if you like that video, please hit that like button, consider subscribing if you're new here, and yeah, we'll see you on the next video.